everyone. I hope everyone's doing good today. I had some questions about food and recipes that I use to keep myself as healthy as possible as far as, my lung issues and how they relate to food. I have two other videos that I've posted previously. One is video number 33, and it is my way to health and happiness. And this video touches on food. It's a nice start to learning more about how foods affect our bodies. And the next video is video number 40. It's all about food. Everything from picking foods from the grocery store to specifically why and what kinds of things I eat and don't eat. And it goes into more depth that I'm going to get into right now today. But I did want to just touch on some of the things that I feel are important with my diet. And we are all different, so everything is kind of like one big experiment for each of us, because everybody's going to be different on what affects their body, and some people can eat things that other people can't. And but in general, things that you would usually want to avoid, or that I try to avoid, are sugar, carbs, salt, and processed foods. So I found that I did much better when I removed sugar and carbs from my diet as much as possible. In other words, keeping them to a bare minimum. Also salt. It really helps. But as far as breathing goes, directly affecting our lungs and the function is the carbs and sugar. So that is first and foremost. Salt, if your body has a tendency to hold on to fluids, this is going to also affect your breathing, but I find that it affects it in a different way. It's not quite the same as the carbs. So for me, when my shortness of breath feels like it might be from bloat or an overfullness in my lungs, I know that that's most likely coming from sugar or carbs. When it feels more like a kind of a suffocating underwater kind of feel, then that is from probably an overload of liquids or salt. If I drink too much fluids, I'll feel like that. Or if I've had too much salt, then I don't even have to drink too much fluids. Just any fluids that I drink, my body will hold on to. So those are the things that I try to avoid the most. And things that I try to eat a lot of are healthy meats, preferably organic, because they're raised in the healthiest way, which leads to healthier, fresher, a higher quality of meat. So that can include anything from beef, chicken, pork, fish. Pork would be the one that we eat the least of, though, because of the salt. Pork just tends to be saltier. So, we might do that a couple times a month, whereas beef and chicken we do every week. Also fish like salmon. We do some perch, and, just different things. But obviously salmon's the healthiest of the fish. Some tuna. Just different things like that. The other thing that we try to get a lot of is fresh veggies. They're all very good for you. The more you can do, the better. And we try to do as many different kinds as we can. I'm not very adventurous when it comes to food, so my veggies usually include like different salads and spinach and zucchinis and squash, broccoli, beans, carrots, and we do all fresh veggies. So all of our vegetables, we get no canned vegetables whatsoever. All of them are cooked, picked. I get some veggies from my daughter's garden, others we buy from the grocery store, but we find that most of the foods that we get from the grocery store can be found along the outer walls. That's where your healthiest foods are. Processed foods are usually towards the center. So we ourselves don't spend much time in the center of the grocery store. Most of our cart filling comes from the edges. And then we'll have a few things here and there that we pick up from the center, you know, to kind of tie things together. Fruits are always a good thing too. You don't want to go overboard with the fruits though, because they do have sugars. So just keep that in mind, that they also add to your sugar content for the day, but they are definitely the healthiest version of the sugar. So as far as that goes, you know, fruits are good, but you don't want them in excess. And then as far as like snacks and things, if I'm not saying I cut every single thing out. If I'm looking for a snack, I'll try to find the healthiest version of it. So in other words, potato chips. I've found a great low salt version of potato chips that the flavoring is really good. You just have to experiment. I know there's a couple of them out there that this one particular brand, I show it on the video. I'm not going to get into it again, but this one particular brand, I show it on the, I think it's video number 40, is great. You can't even hardly tell the difference, and it has such a low amount of salt in that I can have, you know, a serving of those here and there and do fine with it. So I just watch my salt intake for the day and try to keep it below a certain amount, and then I have a tendency to do fine. The other thing is I try to drink a lot of water, as much as my body will tolerate, and fluids. This helps. Usually, if I don't overdo the salt, it helps to keep everything moving through, and you know, it washes the salt through. But once I pass a certain threshold with the salt, then my body will start holding on to fluids no matter what it is. Also be aware that sugars will make your body hold on to fluids as well. So if you're drinking sodas or other things, your body is going to start to hold on to those fluids, and those sodas will also affect your breathing through the carbs and sugars as well. So it's kind of a double whammy. So yeah, you want to kind of limit that. I was a diehard soda fan. I try to cut back to, I used to have 3 or 4 sodas a day before all of this, and now I try to cut it down to 1 or 2 a week. So we try to never do more than 1 meal out per day. So like for the weekend, we don't ever do like just all fast food. Like if we're gone for the day, we don't do all fast food. So if I'm gonna absolutely have something that's considered fast food, I'll only have one that day, and we try to limit it to the weekend, and then do healthy foods the rest of the day. So I might have 1 soda and a sandwich from McDonald's, but then the rest of the day would be salads or you know, other healthy real foods. So for me, that has worked. And definitely I notice when I get off of when I fall off the wagon kind of thing, and I start having more of those foods or more sugars, I can definitely notice a change in how I feel. And at first, you know, like when you start really watching your diet, you'll notice that you start feeling way better. After a certain amount of time, you'll start noticing that you feel better. Well, when you start feeling better, you start feeling like, well, maybe you could do a little bit more salt or a little bit more sugar or whatever. And at first, it'll be okay. And then it starts catching up to you, and then bam, one day, you're not moving so good, and now you have to start over. So you have to kind of be careful with that. On the other hand, sodas and things that have heavy carbs and sugar can kind of hit you as soon as you eat. So I don't know, it just depends. You have to kind of see what your body will tolerate, you know, how much of stuff that you can take personally. And then other things, like I drink a lot of milk. I drink milk in the morning and milk at night, you know, with my dinner and breakfast. And not everybody can do that. Some people have a lot of trouble with mucus, and the milk seems to add to that. Other people have a lot of trouble with bloat or different reactions to milk. So you just have to try different things and see what works for you. Some people do like an elimination diet, where you eliminate everything, just starting with the basics, just, water, like a certain kind of meat and some basic vegetables. And you start with those and then start adding in, go for a certain amount of time and see how you feel. Usually it's like 30 days they like you to do that, and then you start adding back in different things one at a time. And by doing this, you can kind of catch what has certain effects on your body and what doesn't. So in other words, you would eliminate all the milk, and then after 30 days, then you would add that back in and start, noticing if that made a difference for you. If not, then add in the next thing, breads and, so there's a process to that, and some people use that to figure out which foods work best for them. You just kind of have to experiment your body. Everybody is so different that there's no one way that it will work for everybody, but the main thing to realize across the board is that carbs, sugar, salt, and processed foods are the culprits of making how we feel a little bit worse. So yeah, as far as that goes, and like I said, I don't have any special recipes. The things that you've seen me make on here, deviled eggs, the banana bread, those are my usuals. I love the deviled eggs because they're quick. I can have them in the morning, so they have a little extra fat. I'm always trying to gain weight. The mayonnaise that we use is an olive oil mayonnaise, and that adds a little extra fat to the eggs themselves. So it's a way of packing on a little bit more calories for myself. So a lot of times I will eat deviled eggs in the morning instead of regular eggs, and they're quick. So if we're on the run and we don't have time to eat before we go, and we don't want to grab McDonald's on the way out, I can, have several deviled eggs and maybe a small bagel or something, that's just quick, and I won't be skipping out on any nutrition. So I get my protein, I drink a quick glass of milk, and have a bagel and some peanut butter, and, we're off. And I don't have to get the extra salt that I might get from going to McDonald's in the morning. So, yeah, it's just trying to avoid as much of the unhealthy stuff that you kind of in the back of your mind probably already know is unhealthy. So, but yeah, check out video number 33 and video number 40. They will help with this quite a bit. Any fruit juices or anything like that usually has extra sugar added, so you want to read the labels carefully. Avoid anything that does have extra sugar. A great way to make some juices is a lot of times do homemade lemonade, and that way I know exactly what's in it. Some people cut up fruit and drop it in their water, and that way it has a little bit of the fruit taste, but not any added sugar besides just what's in the fruit. So just experiment and find your own happy, healthy little version of the different types of foods that are acceptable to your body. I hope this helped a little. Like I said, I didn't get real into depth and nothing too complicated, but check out the other videos, video number 33 and number 40. And hopefully a combination of these videos will help you find your happy place with food. As far as acid reflux, I do not have a problem with that. I used to have a lot more problems with that before I was getting treated for my pulmonary hypertension and stuff, and my heart issue. But now that is being treated and my heart issues are under control, I find that the only time I get acid reflux is if I overeat too close to laying down. So keep that in mind, that if you're going to be laying down soon, you know, you really want to keep your meal to a smaller level so that you don't probably run into the same problem that I do, and that's just being overly full too close to bedtime. Other than that, I really don't have a problem with it. And who knows, maybe I would still have a problem with it if I was eating the same way I was eating before I was treated for the pulmonary hypertension. With the pulmonary hypertension became a huge awareness of foods. I went and saw a nutritionist, just started really paying attention. So my whole eating habit changed. So it could be that the only reason that I don't get acid reflux is because I'm not eating the same way that I used to be. But I do think that it also has something to do with just my heart being in better shape. I don't know how it affects it, but I just have the feeling that it does. But in any case, yeah, I think smarter food choices probably also contributes to no longer having a problem. I mean, I used to literally eat Tums 3 or 4 at night, you know, after dinner all the way through till bedtime, and then get up during the night and take some more. And I haven't taken a Tums probably in 3 years or more since my diagnosis and my treatment started. So, yeah, I'm not sure which it is, the treatment or the change in foods, but I just know that it has not been a problem anymore. So, yeah, just experiment and see what you figure out. For sure, all of it can be, you know, remedied with the right food solutions. Another trick that I have that I like to do is drink bone broth several times a week, and it doesn't even take much, just like a cup of it. I'll heat it up like soup broth, but it's bone broth, and I heat it and drink it, and it's a great healer for your gut, and it's just it helps heal the gut. Some people have heard of leaky gut. It addresses that issue. I used to take probiotics. I don't so much anymore. I took them for a while. I feel like when I started taking them, they helped a lot. And then I think my stomach just started feeling better and more regular, and then added in the bone broth, and then kind of dropped off with the probiotics. And so far I don't have a lot of the problems that I used to have with my stomach. Just, you know, just being irritated and, you know, different things. So, yeah, I guess, you know, you just have to, like I said, experiment and find what works for you. These are my tips and what works for me, and some of them may or may not work for you, but I wish you luck, and definitely hope that you can find the solutions and the happiness and the health that you are looking for. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.